Hey, good morning. What happened to the music? Man, that's normally my cue. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to episode 19 of BS with Todd. And thanks for those who keep returning week after week and the tens of thousands that previously joined the episode. So we do this every 2 weeks. This week is going to be on some new products. We've got some new products in. And I just got these in last night. So I was up until at least 1 a.m. My bosses are on here, going and printing all this new stuff. But again, thanks for joining. BS with Todd is, well, it can mean a couple of different things. I can't really say what I'd like to, but it's Brother Solutions with Todd. And we go through everything labeling. We have 18 previous episodes up on YouTube and available to watch. If you need to find it, let me know, and I can direct you to that. So this is a half an hour of unscripted, unrehearsed, and a little unprofessional tidbits about labeling. Not the most exciting subject in the world, but you know what? This whole thing is working for us, and I hope it's working for you as well. I hope everyone is healthy out there. I'll try and fill this half an hour with some of the new products, and I'll talk about what I'm going to be doing next week. I don't have any co-hosts this week. Jamie is MIA, and I think Dan Cobb is in the background. In fact, yes, I see Dan. Dan is going to be able to answer any questions you have. Now, again, these are new products. I spent a few hours with them last night. They will be available pretty soon. But there's two different areas that we're really going to talk about. One is flagging. I, for one, cannot stand flagging. Now, I sell a lot of it, but I can't stand it. I try and talk people into going with a cable wrap. And, but in certain cases with smaller diameter fiber cable, you have to use a flag. So I've got some exciting new products regarding flags. I'm also going to talk about self-laminating labels. I, for one, am not a fan of self-laminating labels. I was a contractor for many, many years. I used the 8.5 by 11 self-laminating labels with a little printable area followed by the clear tail that you wrap around. That's because back in my day, we used inkjet printers. And we'd run these things through inkjet printers, and you'd want something to protect the alphanumeric printing on the actual label. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well. So the traditional flag as we know it, one of the reasons why I'm not a real big fan of it, there's a couple. It's very labor intensive to do. A traditional flag is very, very labor intensive to do. As an example, now I've had these guys in water for a very long time. I can't disclose how long. I've had this in oil for a very long time. But as you can see, there's a traditional flag label right there. And that is actually very labor intensive because you have to match both sides up equally. And if you don't, they're a little off. And then you're exposing, not only does it look goofy like that, but you're exposing some of the adhesive there. So it does take time and patience, of which I was not born with patience, to put one of these flag labels on. So I've got an interesting and exciting new product to give you an alternative with that. Going to the cable wrap, where you can see on the bottom of that, this new camera is pretty cool. I'm liking this. But on the bottom of that is a cable wrap, and that's a traditional cable wrap. And in the past, and still to this day, a lot of people use the self-laminating either sheet labels or the labels that come out of the desktop machines like the new TD4D, which I have back here. That's a really good point, Mr. Chuck. Chuck just chimed in and said that they can get torn off accidentally. That is a good point. Thank you, Chuck. The other thing I don't like about and this show isn't all about negativity. I'll get positive here in a minute. But the other thing I don't like about it is when you get a bunch of flags together, right, and they start interlapping, it makes it tough to identify, and it looks like crap. It really does. It looks like a bunch of dead moths sitting there. And so again, but there are certain situations where you do need flagging. I get it. And I'll show you here in a few minutes where this new flagging, I think, is just outstanding. There are other manufacturers that have done this in the past, but not the way we're doing it. This is a really cool way we're doing that. So let's get right into it. So we got a couple of different ways to identify labels, or excuse me, cables, if you will. We got the flagging, we got the cable wraps. What I did late last night around midnight, boss, is I went ahead and I did some examples. All right. So here's your traditional cable wrap right here. And again, I did an okay job of trying to line this thing up on the backside. But if you're talking about doing a ton of these things, again, it takes a lot of time. So without further ado, let me introduce you to our new flagging system. So as you can see here, I've got a couple of different flags. And the exciting thing about this is that they're machine printable actually out of this guy right here. My camera's all backwards. The cool thing about this is that it prints off of a cassette. And it's very, very, very easy to put on this cable right here. And as you can see, it goes both ways. I got to be careful about where I say that. But nonetheless, is that you can see here, it's very legible. All right. And so you can do it horizontally or you can do it vertically like this. And hopefully there's a close-up look right there of what it looks like. And I'll go into the process of how we're doing that here in a minute. Cable wraps. All right. Here is your traditional self-laminating cable wrap right here. All right. The one right above my finger. That is the one that is extremely popular. Now, the reason why it's extremely popular is you have all these old curmudgeon, basically consultants and engineers, that's all they know. That's really all they know. I'll tell you why I'm not a fan of the self-laminating. And this comes from a contractor who used to go into environments and have to troubleshoot stuff. So if you put this on correctly, the self-laminating right here, you can see that's identifiable. But each one of those has to be put in the upright position so that it is visible. Now, what happens if the tech puts it on a little crooked? Uh-oh, you see clear. What happens if it's crooked this way a little bit? You see clear, okay? Typically what happens in that case is, and sometimes these techs don't know any better, but what they'll do is they'll reach in and they'll twist that cable just a little bit to see that identifier. There's a liability right there for you, all right? Now, the good thing about this self-laminating label, obviously it is laminated, right? It will be protected against scratches and scuffs and somewhat water resistant, fade resistant, corrosive resistant, chemical resistant. That is the whole point behind lamination. Our traditional that we still use, and we're going to offer both. And one of the reasons why we're offering this is I don't know how many times I go into an environment, closet environment, and everything is self-laminating. Everything is. And so as hard as I tried to convince them to go the brother way of doing things, they wanted to keep the same cadence and they wanted to have the same self-laminating label. Now, what this does for brother is it gives us the opportunity to go into those environments, which they love brother otherwise. They love us, right? But they were not able to emulate this particular self-laminating label. Now we have the opportunity. And I have lost many opportunities to get our brother system in there because we didn't offer it, yet our competitors did. Well, guess what? We have it. It is on a cassette system. And I'm going to talk about the way that we print these here in a little bit. My preferred method, all right, is the way that brother has always been doing things, all right? Now, if you notice, it's still a laminated label, but we print all the way around. It doesn't matter how I look at this. I can see the identifier. I don't have to be meticulous enough and put that printable area in the upright visible position. So what this label will do is if you put it on correctly, all right, and you really can't mess it up, all right, it's going to save a lot of labor because, again, you can put this on any part of the cable and just wrap it around. And what you're going to get is you're going to get that identifier no matter how you look at it. So again, we're offering both solutions. Both solutions are laminated solutions. So even our cable wraps that we've always offered out there are going to be laminated. So scratch resistant, scuff resistant, oil resistant, gas resistant, caustic resistant, fade resistant, water resistant, and UL rated. So again, we're going to offer the same type of properties, only we're going to give you a choice in how or which platform that you want to wrap your cable. I'll talk a little bit later on about a couple of other things we have going, but let me talk about the printing process and how we do it. So typically on cable wraps, either out of our desktop units, which could include the PTE 800, the PTP 900 series, which I have right up there, all right? What it's going to do is offer a half-cut feature. And this half-cut feature, you can print a strip of cable labels like this. You could tack it up on the front or the back of your 7x19, and you peel and stick and peel and stick and peel and stick. You're not waiting for the machines to print them off one at a time. Now, that is only available starting at the PTE 550, then you move up to the very popular PTE 800, the PTP 750 WV, I know I'm missing a letter in there somewhere, and then our 36 millimeter desktop series, which is the PTP 900. So all of those have the half cut feature, all right? The PTP 750 desktop, which is this little guy right here, is essentially the PTP, the PTE 550W without the buttons, all right? You can use your phone, you can use the apps. I think it's a great little desktop printer. I still prefer the PTE 550 over this one, just my personal opinion. And with that being said, what we're doing now, all right, is we're doing basically it's a die cut tape, and let me show you what it looks like here. So we still print on the strip, all right, and this may be tough to see. I hope it isn't. That looks good to me. But what we do is we print on the white printable area, and then if you notice down below, you got the clear tail that wraps around it. And so the beauty about this is that you can still tack this up on the back of that 7x19 or 4-post, a server cabinet or wall mount or whatever you're working with, right? And you can just peel and wrap and peel and wrap. So this is a great idea developed by the brother engineers here. It gives us the cassette ability. Hey, if that's not my word, then I'm claiming that. So you get the cassette ability, which are the same cassettes that you guys are used to, these guys right here, all right? The self-laminating, what we call our SLE tape, will work in both the PTE 550W and our desktop units, which is this guy, and I talked about the PTP series right there. It is available in 1 inch, which is 24 millimeter, and 1.5 inches, which is 36 millimeter, and you can see the difference right here. All right. You can use a database as well to print on this. One of the other things I wanted to show you, and I really didn't know it was updated. I'm going to try and share my screen. Actually, you know what? We'll do that in a minute, because sharing my screen on here is kind of a pain in the butt. So the flag label, how do we do it? Good question. It is a cassette system, and the way it works is they spit off one at a time, and it looks like this when it comes out. Now, you can see it's got the little sensors. It's a die cut label, all right? Well, this is actually not really a die cut, it's a pre-cut label, this guy right here. But the desktop series, the PTP 800 and the 900 series, have sensors in them, and what they do is they detect these little black marks on the back of the tape, as well as these little black marks here on the front of the tape. So if you look at it, it looks like just a regular tape. All right? When you peel it off, it looks like this. Now what happens is it's foldable. And so I'll try and do this here real quick for you. I'm gonna need my specs. I've got CSS. You all know what that is, right? I got CRS with it as well and so forth and whatnot. But the beautiful thing about this being die cut and pre-cut on here, watch this, is that label just peels off like this, all right? What happens is this little tail will go around the cable, and then this folds like this over itself. Man, beautiful. The labor savings on that is absolutely incredible. And again, you've got two different ways that you can put this on. As I showed, you can go horizontal, you can do vertical, and those are available for the desktop series as well. Can you add databases to these? It sure is a lot easier adding databases than typing them in manually. Now, you can do them manually one at a time if you want. What I would suggest is using our serialization feature on either one of these units. So, you know, and based upon, generally the rule of thumb is if you're labeling cables, they're in cadence, they're in sequence. So one of two things, either use the serialization on both machines, which you put your first identifier in there, you tell the machine how many cables you're wrapping or how many patch panel ports you're doing, and essentially builds a job for you. It may not be that easy though with some of these different labeling platforms out there, specifically if they have, you know, their own tribal knowledge labeling, if you will. The easiest way to do that is to put that into an Excel spreadsheet. You can do one of two things. You can either embed that spreadsheet or the database into the 550W and into the PTE 800, and then when you're out in the field, pull from that database. Now, I was checking the software, and here's where I'm going to share my screen, or at least I'll try. Checking the software this morning just to make sure they updated it. I guess I got to share my entire screen. Hopefully nothing pops up. All right. And let's go to the Ptouch Editor software. So hopefully everyone can see this. I hope right now I'm sharing my screen. If not, I'm looking like a horse's rear end, which is nothing new. Anyway, in your cable labeling wizard right here, you will get a drop-down menu. And under this drop-down menu, you can do a plethora of different things. You can do general, you can do faceplate, you can do a cable flag, you can do a patch panel, you can do a 110 block if you want, all right? But what we're gonna do right now is a die cut flag. And the die cut flag, if you notice down here, you can pick your different formats that you wanna print in. So all I'm going to do is, I'll hit OK. You get the template that pops up on the screen. Now to connect the database, it's really simple. I'm gonna go up to File. I'm gonna go to Databases, all right? I'm gonna go to Connect the Database. I will search for a database. Let's go into my database folder. I'll just do this one, something simple. I'll do Next. Now what happens is the next piece on the screen here is gonna ask, how do you wanna associate? So if I had multiple columns, I can actually pick any one of those columns to associate with this. So in the database field, there's a drop down, and it's associating column A01-1, all right? I'll hit OK. Now what will happen is it's going to print off in sequence all the way down. So you can just keep pumping these things out based upon a database. Now, also keep in mind is that you can embed that database into these particular units and essentially do the same thing. If you need assistance on downloading a database into this, let me know. And we can certainly help you out with that. We have lots of videos on and tutorials on how to take an Excel spreadsheet, save it as a CSV. It's got to be the comma separated. It's actually a very, very easy process. So I'm a big fan of working with the database. You're not prone to as many mistakes, especially if you got big club hands like this. And where you're fat fingering stuff and not discovering the mistake until you're in the testing process. And all of us out there kind of know how those things work, and it can be very costly. So let me stop sharing this, and hopefully this works. I should go back to me. Hey, there I am. All right. So that's what we have as far as the new product offerings. I'm very excited about these product offerings. It brings us into a new era, and now I don't have to go out and really talk against the labor intensity of the flagization. Flagization, that's mine too. So anyway, the other thing I want to talk about, there's a couple of other things that are coming up on the horizon. We're finalizing a couple other products out there. This is going to hit just about every type of vertical out there. So you're talking about electrical, you're talking about datacom, access control, fire safety, you name it. One of the things that I always notice, and I'm anal about looking for labeling, when I go out to these job sites, is phenolic labeling. And a lot of people are like, yeah, what's a phenolic? Well, those are those etched tags. Next time you go into a restroom, you're going to see a phenolic tag, all right? Thanks, Chuck. I'm full of words. Chuck just said he's learning all sorts of words. You got no idea, Chuck. So I'll send you the Todd's dictionary when I'm done. So one of the other things, and I'll try and share this now, is that phenolic tags. And I'm going to show a quick little pic of a phenolic tag, all right, for those who don't know. And this, no, it's not. This is a phenolic tag. So data centers are full of these things, absolutely full of these things. Sometimes I see racks, I see cabinets with phenolic tags on them. I was last time I was out, 8-9 months ago, 34 pounds ago, I should call it. I'm going to base timelines on the amount of weight that I'm gaining. So 34 pounds ago, when I was out in the field, I went to a very large data center in Phoenix. They had phenolics all over. You know what? Why not? What the hell? All right. So very soon, brother, we'll be able to offer phenolics. We'll have a custom website that you can go in. You can tell us what size you're looking for, what color you're looking for, and actually the verbiage you're looking for. We'll take that to your favorite distributor, if you will, and we'll get you some pricing. So what that does is it keeps it in the brother family. And so I'm going to go ahead and stop that as well. I'll get rid of that one. All right. One of the very important things I need to talk about, and I'll need to share my damn screen again, firmware updates. Right now, for those of you out there that have a PTE 550W, a PTE 800W, and a PTP 900 or 950, all right, you must do the firmware upgrade. You have to. And what that's going to give you the ability to do is print sideways like this does. And it's going to give you the ability for those machines that have the sensors for the die cut availability. Now, how do you upgrade that? Very easy. I did mine last night. It really takes less than 5 minutes to upgrade each printer. You connect your printer to your PC. You go to the support site. I'm going to show you where that is. If you need this, now we sent a bunch of these out earlier. If you need it, please reach out to me. Todd, Todd.Morse, Morse, @brother.com, and we'll get you one of these. So I'm going to share the screen again. All right, we'll do this. I'll bring up this one now. Here we go. So your firmware updates. You know what? I totally forgot about the PTE 500. The PTE 500 will print the self-laminating labels as well. All right. You can still download a database into that. I would still highly recommend, it's not much more money, but to upgrade to the 550W, all right? But if you need the firmware updates, there they are right there, all right? So you got all the different printers that will have the necessary firmware to be able to print not only the self-laminating labels, but the flag labels. And it's real easy, and I hope you guys can see this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on this. Gosh, I hope it takes me to the right site. There we go, right there. This computer automatically, or the software automatically recognizes that I've got the Windows 10 here, but there is a drop down to where you can you print your operating system. Make sure, and there's a bunch of great tools on here, but make sure you go all the way down to the bottom here, all right, to upgrade the firmware. If you don't have the latest Ptouch Editor, which is 5.4.001, it's right here, All right, so that's how you download the Ptouch Editor, and you will need a serial number off the device to complete the installation. Once you download the firmware, it's going to tell you to turn your machine on. You do have to be connected, tethered to your PC with the included USB cable that comes with these. And again, it's a snap to download the firmware. So keep that in mind, very important. If you need that firmware information, please reach out to myself or your respective brother representative in your area, and we'll be able to get that to you. Let's see, what else? Am I sharing? I don't know if I'm sharing it on this here. Bam. No, not doing that either. Oh, I did not, did I? Ah! We're running this new platform over LinkedIn Live, and I still don't know how to work it. Can you tell? So anyway, hey, with that being said, Kelly, if you would, you can always watch this episode again. I'm excited about the new products. I hope you are. If you need more information, please reach out to me. Next week, all right, not next week, but October, is it the 22nd? Jeez Louise. I don't know. Let me check. Let me double check my date here. It is the 22nd. All right. So on the 22nd, what I'm going to do is, with 606C standards in mind, all right, I am going to label from top to bottom this cabinet. All right, there I am again. So this particular cabinet, hi again. So what I'll do is I'll start up top with the rack. I will have some fire stop by then. I want to reach out and want to thank Westcal for giving us some fiber boxes, some angle patch panels. I want to thank software maintenance for the active electronics. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the fire stop. I'm going to go to the rail system or rack system. I'll move down to the fiber. We'll talk about labeling the actual patch panels. We'll talk, this is really good right here, the angle patch panel. We have a super narrow tape that, and these things are a real pain in the butt to label, but I'm going to show you how to do that. And I also have a ground bar down here. You can't see it, but we're going to talk about that as well. All right, so that is going to be next week. Kelly, if you also could you share, there we are right there. So I'm Todd Morse, Regional Sales Manager, hailing out of Carlsbad, California. We got Mr. Jamie Brookover out in Virginia Beach. We got Mr. Dan Cobb. We didn't hear Dan's BS with Todd tune this morning. I'm very saddened about that. Dan is our major account manager for MRO. We got Mr. Bruce Page, my counterpart, somewhere back east. Mr. Rob Dawkins, who primarily deals with warehouse and manufacturing. And our glorious leader, Mr. Craig Robinson, out of Bradenton, Florida. So please reach out to us at any particular time. If you want a one-on-one on how this stuff works, that's what I do. Everything's all versus Zoom right now. I'm doing a lot of Zoom calls. I actually prefer the Zoom versus the live one-on-one. Actually, my customers tell me the same thing. You know, I'm available for the Zoom stuff, and we can go over this whole process or anything else you have in mind as far as labeling. I'm very 606 standard oriented, so if you have any questions about that. One other thing is we do have 2 CECs available. If you take our TIA ANSI 606C class, it is available on brothermobilesolutions.com. under the Datacom and electrical vertical. Anyway, with that being said, hey folks, I'm a minute over. It's 10:31. Have yourself a very, very safe week. Please tune in on October 22nd to watch me, number one, get out of this chair, all right? Number two is I'll actually be doing some physical work, so anyway, with that being said, man, have a great week. Thank you very much. And I hope to see you soon. Take care, all. Thanks, Chuck. Take care, all.